What's up, people? How are you doing? Welcome to whatever week it is. It's week 7, I believe. Let's see here. Yeah, week 7. Here we are, moving into unit 2. I hope you had a nice weekend. I hope you finished your papers. Last I checked, about 2/3 of you did turn in your papers, which is great, but then there was like another 25 of you who had not. I'm going to start grading those right now. Um, I have uh, I have 3 classes worth of papers to grade, plus my AP students turned in typed essays as well. So I'm going to be way over my head in terms of grading. And hopefully I get all those papers done within 2 weeks and back to you with commentary. I know a lot of you said that the uploading process caused some of your formatting to be messed up. So I get that. For this paper, I'm taking 2.5 points off for every error I come across, regardless of what error that is. But I will give y'all 5 free points, 2 errors off, since most of the issues that come up when submitting your paper seems to affect the header and maybe one line. Okay, so I'm just going to give you all now your grade. If your essay is fine and there's no errors at all, you're not getting a 105. You'll just get a 100. But pretty much everyone's just going to go ahead and get 2 errors free. Okay, good times. Let's see. This week, let's see. Let me put this over here. This week we are going. Yeah, I'm going to discuss our new unit, which I mean isn't all that much different than last unit, but didactic literature. And so let me just go ahead and get into that. Let's see here, screen 1. There we go. Okay, so everything that you'll need this week will be essentially in our lessons folder. I'm going to post the notes as well that I'm about to go over, so you'll have access to those. Okay. Assignment 9 right here, basement and poverty. Okay. Um, you were supposed to have read The Ones Who Walk Away from Amelis this week. If you didn't have it in your textbook, if you didn't have the textbook or you couldn't find it online, I just posted this right here. Okay. Poverty by America is right here. You can read that. Oh, I didn't do let's see. I meant to save also a link to The Child in the Basement by David Brooks. Here we go. Okay. So here's this piece right here. I will copy this and I'll just go ahead and put a link right now so you can have that. The Child in the Basement. Okay, so there's the web link to that. All right. So you need to have read all 3 of these to do assignment 9. Okay. And then today I'm going to talk about This Is America by Childish Gambino. I want you to watch this music video before I discuss it. There'll be a moment where I will say pause here and watch the music video. I can't show you the music video. I tried that before in the past and I got flagged by YouTube and I got in trouble. And they said that like if I do it 2 more times, they're gonna kick me off the website. Okay. So I don't have permission by Childish Gambino to promote his music video. I mean, I guess to show it, I can promote it, I just can't show it. So later throughout this in this lecture, I'm going to I'm going to tell you to go to pause and to go watch this video. And this is the link to the video. Okay. When you click on that, it brings you here. Okay. And I'm not going to hit play because I don't want to get in trouble. All right. So what we're going to do now is look at this PowerPoint, which, here we go. Cool. Okay. So week 7, didactic literature. All right. This is what we're talking about. Your paper 2 is going to be kind of on this. It's going to go a little bit further. There's going to be another component to it. I'm going to go over paper 2 all next week. Okay. So some of you might be asking, what is didactic literature? I'm here to tell you. Didactic just means instructive. Okay. So didactic literature is literature that is theme heavy. It's really, really all about the message of the story. Some stories are some literature, films, TV shows, or what you might call pulp, like the film Pulp Fiction is named after this type of literature or writing or storytelling, where it's just a juicy story to tell. There's no deep meaning. There is no bigger truth. It's just a juicy, good story. That's pulp. Didactic literature is literature that has a centerpiece that's really trying to convey a bigger moral or message. It's not always a moral. It's just a message in general. And we kind of discussed this earlier on in the semester in terms of like truths. You know, there can be a good truths and there can be bad truths. Crime and Punishment, great book by Fyodor Dostoevsky. It's a Russian novel, and it is very didactic. The ending has a major center moral piece. If any of you are familiar with a Clockwork Orange, you might have seen the film, and the film is different than the book. The film leaves out the real didactic lesson learned at the very end of it, because the film ends and it does not show the final chapter of the book. And the final chapter of the book is where that didactic lesson comes in. So didacticism is defined as a type of literature that is meant to instruct or teach something. Okay. Theme is the centerpiece of a didactic story. So what is theme? And we've already discussed theme before. Theme is it's the main idea or underlying meaning the writer explores in a novel or short story or film. For some writers, theme is just as important to grasp, if not more, than the events of the story. Many authors begin with a thematic concept and then create a story to communicate their theme, which we can figure out based upon character, setting, dialogue, plot, or all those things. Okay. So like, for example, okay, some theme is very literal. Some didactic stories are very literal. Okay. If you're familiar with the book, The Hate You Give, The Hate You Give is a book and a film that is literally about police brutality. I mean, like the lady who wrote The Hate You Give, like I think she wanted to write a book that addressed police brutality in the Black community. And so then she wrote a book. That book is very didactic. It has a very specific message that it's trying to send out there, and it's written with intention. Versus like other other books that maybe like John Grisham books or Stephen King books, or even books that don't have a specific message to send out, where it's less about like, you know, you can pull some themes away from it, but it's really, you know, more about the events. Okay. The Hate You Give, though, is literally about police brutality. It was written for that purpose. It has a very didactic and very specific message. But theme can also be communicated through metaphor, where it is more abstract. Still didactic, but symbolic, okay? It's still, an author can still want to have a very specific message, but it's not directly stated. It's symbolically stated. plot, characters, and situations can all be symbols used to convey a deeper meaning. So you should be thinking about how the short story those who walk away from Aeneas, that story, that is a very symbolic, didactic story, which we'll actually talk more specifically about next week. But like, it would be great if you read that short story. So then, after going through this PowerPoint, maybe reread it, okay, as well. If you didn't catch it, that story is not just a like shocking story. That has some real deep metaphors and symbolism in it that is conveying a very specific message. Okay. But I'm going to use an example of this poem called House in the World. All right. So this is a poem by Langston Hughes. I love this poem. It's one of my favorites. It says here, I'm looking for a house in the world where the white shadows will not fall. There is no such house, dark brothers, no such house at all. Okay. This poem is a didactic poem. It has a very specific message it's conveying, and it's not really about a house. It's not literal because white shadows are not actually literally real. Okay. But it does have very deep symbolic meaning. And when we dissect that, we get to its message. Okay. All right. So, house, white shadows, what do they mean? All right. So we need to dissect the symbol. Identify the literal object the symbol is. So, example, a house is a place of residency where one resides. Then we're going to identify the figurative representation of the symbol. So the literal is a house, people live. Example, though, of something that's more figurative. A house symbolizes a place where one feels safe, secure, and belonging. At least it should. There are plenty of people who grew up in houses that one did not feel safe, secure, or belonging to. Okay, and I get that, but we're just trying with symbolic, figurative meanings. We're going with this sort of like overall generalized idea, this general association. So, like for example, okay, most people think like, let's see here, like a rainy day. A rainy day generally symbolizes gloominess. It symbolizes sadness, even though there's a lot of people like my daughter who love a rainy day. And I am like a rainy day. I love like looking outside and it being dark and rainy and stuff. I don't feel sad and depressed and gloomy. Okay. I like it. So even though maybe to me it doesn't represent sad and gloomy and stuff, okay, overall the majority representation of a rainy, dark day is something that's also reflective of like maybe one's mood, our feelings. Okay. And so when we think about the figurative or symbolic representation of something, you can't always think about what it means specifically to you, but you got to figure out what is the general association of the symbol. And so the general association of a house, especially for those people who grew up not having a house or belonging to one house, the idea is that a house would symbolize a place of safety and security and belonging. Okay. So like who is impacted by and affected by this symbol? Okay. And the characters in this poem that are impacted by this are the Dark Brothers. Well, what could that mean? Well, I mean, knowing that Langston Hughes is a black man and this poem was written during the Harlem Renaissance and during many civil rights activity, civil rights protesting and activism and stuff, we can identify that Dark Brothers represents people of color and their search for a safe place. Okay. So then we can move into trying to figure out, okay, well, so what is a theme of this poem? So using the dissection of the symbol, the characters, and the effect on the characters, we can try to determine the theme. Okay. So maybe, and I discussed before that a theme is a complete sentence. Okay, it's a complete sentence. So we can't just be like, oh, the theme is racism. Racism might be a thematic topic. The theme of this is a house in the world addresses the oppressive effects of racism that affects the lives of people of color, which leaves many to believe that racism is inescapable. Okay. I read this terrible, sad story about this. There's this family from South Africa, this black family from South Africa, who they lived during through apartheid and post-apartheid South Africa, but even though apartheid had become illegal and integration was the way, they still expressed that there was a lot of racism in South Africa. So they saved up all their money and they wanted to move away and to what they felt was the furthest location from the racism of South Africa. So they moved to North Dakota, America, because they heard that the North in America, that the northern states in America were anti-slavery. They had read about the Great Migration of Black people from the South to the North. So they thought, cool, North Dakota. We're going to get up there. It's near Canada. They're going to get away from the racism of post-apartheid South Africa. And they had it. They bought a house. They were there, and within like 3 months, and this was like in the this was in the 2000s. This is the 2000s. All right. So relatively recent. Within like a few months of them living there, there was their house was spray painted on, and the N word was spray painted, and it was like, go back to your country. I think there was like a KKK was written, or maybe there was a cross burning in their yard. It was definitely white supremacist terrorists, and these people just felt so, awful, like they could not get away from racism all over the world. And now the whole town was very when they found out about this, their white neighbors were like, oh my God, this is terrible, we don't feel this way. And they received a lot of support, which is why this made it on the news about this community trying to like make them feel welcomed and help them and stuff. But still like this couple, this in the 2010s era, they themselves could not still find a house in the world that did not have white shadows falling on it. They moved from the southern hemisphere to the northern hemisphere to try to escape, and they couldn't. Okay. So I think there are many people of color who feel this way, the oppressive effects of racism. So that's what this poem is about. It's a very didactic poem with a very specific theme, and it uses symbolism to convey that theme. Okay. I want you to, at this moment, pause, and go watch This Is America music video. Okay, go watch it, and then come back and play this. All right, because I'm about to talk about the music video. All right, so I'm gonna give you 5 seconds to do that, and then I'm gonna start talking about this video. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, action. All right, we're back. You watched This Is America. Some of you might have already seen it. Some of you are probably like, this is old. This came out like 6 years ago. Why are we still talking about it? Well, it's so relevant. And I just love the video. I think it's a great song. It's a great video. It's fantastic. Okay. And it works perfect for didactic literature because it has a very specific theme. It's all done through symbolism. It's not straight out in your face. I mean, it kind of is, like, the lyrics, this is America, but there's a lot of irony in the lyrics, which we're not really even going to talk about the lyrics. We're just going to talk about what we see on screen. Because this is like a visual art. So we should be watching and seeing what it's saying. Okay. So again, we're going to go through the process of identifying the literal objects the symbol represents. So here, just to begin with, all right, we get it right away. we get this black narrator shooting another black person in the head. Oof. Okay. Seems like black on black violence. Say what? Okay. What could this mean? All right. Well, we need to identify the figurative representation of the symbol. And so here, Childish Gambino is trying to represent this old image of the racist cartoon of the character Jim Crow that became the name of the racist segregation laws in America. So Jim Crow was a cartoon character created by white men to make fun of black people. Okay. Which is why, and then eventually the laws in the South that were used to segregate white people and black people from each other were called the Jim Crow laws after this character. This character was not written, it was not created by black people to be entertaining for black people. It was created by white people to make fun of black people. So here, Gambino, throughout this, is personifying Jim Crow. Okay. And so if Jim Crow is the symbol of racism, which he should be, he does not represent black people. He represents racism. Then Childish Gambino is the manifestation of racism. So let's identify the characters that are literally impacted by this symbol. Okay, black people. And then we'll talk about the figurative representation. Gambino is imitating systemic racism and the deadly impacts it has had on people of color. As he goes through the music video, he shoots other people. He killed the black choir. Okay, there's chaos going on all around him. Wherever he goes, there's chaos. That's because he represents the racist system created by white people. Just like Jim Crow, that character was created by white people, and it became a racist system of government, very similar to apartheid. And so Jim Crow, the black character, he himself is not racist. He is the symbol of racism, which is what Childish Gambino is personifying in this music video. Okay, so what is the theme of the text? Using the dissection of the symbol, the characters, and the effect on the characters determine a theme that the author is constructing. So like the cars, what do the cars represent? The car scene. Many viewers drew connections to the black men routinely killed by police during traffic stops, including Philando Castile in Minnesota, 2016. If you notice, all of these driver's side car doors are open, but they're empty because their owners are dead. They've been pulled over, they've gotten out of the car, and they've been killed or sent to prison. See, do a lot of those cars have their driver's side doors open and hazards on because they're symbolic of the cars of all the people pulled over and killed by the police? Maybe at Giddy Pony. Others found economic symbolism within the sea of beat-up cars. The mostly parked vacant cars in This Is America reference to the stalled socioeconomic and political mobility of black people in America. So if you look at the growth of black wealth, it plateaus in the early 1990s. And these cars are models that do not go past the early 90s. They either predate the 90s or they're right around 1990 or 1991. So they have been stagnant. They've, for whatever reason, black wealth and its involvement has completely shut down. Okay. So I want you to think about that in terms of the ones who walk away from Amelius. Okay. That story has 4 key passages. All right. I mean, the whole story can be summarized with this. Begins the festival of summer. And it was for all of the simple folk of the town. They were not they didn't use swords, meaning they weren't violent. They didn't keep slaves. They were peaceful. They were not barbarians. They didn't even need rules and laws really, because they all behaved well. They were good people. They were not greedy. They didn't focus on the stock market advertisements or secret police or the bomb. Okay, so like it seems like a utopia. Aemilius was like a utopia, but then somewhere deep down, there's a room in which there is a child locked in that is feeble-minded and defective, malnutritioned, filled with fear and neglect because they're locked in this room. And the people who know about this, most of them go along their day knowing that there is this child locked away and that they're benefiting from that. But then there are some of them, there are some people who they cannot accept this, and so they leave. They walk away. Okay. They move on and they leave behind this what seems to be a utopia. Okay. All right. So like this story is not really about this child, and it's not really about this place. This is a very big symbolic story. Okay. And we can pull a lot of different meaning from this and a lot of different interpretations of this story. All right. So like this week, you're going to think about this story, and I'm going to have you think about it in just one particular mode, but I think there's many different ways that we can think about this. Okay. And you're going to complete the work. You can watch the lecture. You're going to read The Child in the Basement. You are going to read the PDF, How We Rely on Welfare. And then you're going to complete assignment 9 and post it. Okay. Now, that's like part 1 of this week. Part 1 is this. The next part of what you're doing this week moves into for next week's lecture. Okay. And essay 2. All right. I am wanting you to find a copy of Candyman, the film from 1992. All right. The 1992 version of Candyman. It's a horror movie. Oh, it's scary. Okay. If you can stomach it, I would love for you to watch it. Rent it, stream it, do something. Okay. Just watch it. You don't got to do anything else. Just got to watch it. All right. You got to do assignment 9, of course. But I'm going to talk about the Candyman next week. And it completely relates to essay 2, which I'm going to introduce next week. All right. So watch the Candyman. Read The Child in the Basement. Read How We Rely on Welfare. Complete assignment 9. Then watch Candyman. And while you do all that, read your independent novel. Okay. Yes. I'm going to be grading your papers while you do that this week. Okay. And then we'll meet back up here next week. And if you have any questions along the way, email me. A bunch of you emailed me a bunch of questions yesterday, and I'm going to reply to them today. So you should get your response today. Okay. Let me know if you need anything in the future. Peace out. Goodbye.